All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode here on the Sunni Defense. Today I'm joined by Brother Hani. Hani,
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah, everybody.
subhanallah, we just started off and we already have a question, mashallah. Um, a brother asks, a Sabdo asks, I wanted to ask a question. When is the debate between Hani and Sayyid Ali? Hani?
Okay. A debate between me and Sayyid Ali. I do remember, yeah, they issued a debate.
Mm.
And I think you guys had like a video or two about it here on the channel. And what happened was he issued a debate to either me or the brother Farid. And the brother Farid accepted the debate. And he told him, I will go to the UK and debate you face to face. All expenses paid. And Sayyid Ali then wrote a
That's me.
post on
That's
Twitter or
that's me paying, by the way. I didn't
yeah,
ask anyone to pay for my flight.
yeah. All expenses paid by Farid. And then when he did that, Sayyid Ali, I guess he chickened out and he said, I didn't request any debate. It was revisiting the Salaf. And then we never heard from that again. Farid, do you know more details about this?
Well, like, to be fair, he never said that he is challenging us to a debate. He said the revisiting the Salaf team is challenging, um, us to a debate.
So the
طبعاً,
entire team.
I don't know who he was referring to. I assumed it was only him. I always assumed it was a one-man show, which is why I was kind of confused. And then
Okay.
turns out that it wasn't him. So who
Yeah.
knows?
And so yeah, and they wanted to debate on I recall asma wa sifat, the names and attributes of Allah, and they had a video attacking the Salafi brothers and the Athari brothers. And seeing as though brother Farid is a Salafi, he accepted the debate. He told him, "Yes, I would come and I would debate you." Uh, but I guess that never happened. Not from our side. I mean, Farid was willing to come, but just I think they never said yes, come and debate us.
Sayyid Ali said something like, "If he wants to debate me, then we'll have to discuss things. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Inshallah, I'm still open to it, and I don't mind getting in contact with him and discussing things. Yeah, I don't mind at all."
Mhm.
Okay, so here's another one. Assalamu alaikum. Can you please answer the following? Do Shia generally pick and choose from ahadith, even their own?
I like how you're asking me everything. Yes, they're actually extremely popular for this methodology. They pick and choose. Now, when it comes to the books of Ahl Sunnah, they definitely pick and choose a lot. Like they will read, you have about 40, 50, 60 history books. They will take a sentence from every history book, whatever serves their purpose. Let's say the book, because if you read any history book, it all disproves the belief in, that Ali was divinely appointed. So what they do is they take a sentence from here, a couple of words from there, regardless of their authenticity, regardless of the content, and just take it and make a case out of it. And that's what the Shia do. As far as their own ahadith, I understand there's two things that happen. Historically speaking, yeah, they did pick and choose in the sense that there were many Shia sects, and all of these Shia sects, all of them had ahadith from Ahlul Bayt. So the Twelvers, they dumped all of the ahadith of the other sects and they chose only the ahadith they wanted, which supports their belief in 12 imams and this and that. So this is one aspect of picking and choosing, and that's why their books today, like you won't find the hadith of the Waqifa, you won't find the hadith of the Fadahiyya, you won't find the hadith of these others because they filtered them out. They filtered the whole thing. Similarly, we were saying a hadith of Tashbih, Tashsim, they threw them all away um, because of the Mu'tazili influence again. Another method is picking and choosing is through taqiyya. So they have a couple of fiqh views. They came up with these weird rules that, whatever agrees with the Sunnis must be taqiyya. So they dumped anything which agrees with Ahl Sunnah as taqiyya, and they accepted everything that opposes Ahl Sunnah. And this is a sectarian methodology to further separate the Muslims, and so that they can have their own crowd and their own, disciples and followers, and have their own religion, technically.
I'd just like to add that even though I do agree with much of what you said, they today they do have a standard of grading narrations, and I'm not saying that they all follow that standard, but the standard does exist, and yes, like there is a large number of them that do accept this standard and try to follow this standard. All right, so here's another one. Do the majority of Shias believe in tahrif? I'd say no.
Yeah, I agree. They don't, by majority, believe in tahrif, especially the lay people.
Yeah, the lay people just don't. All right, so someone asks, what's the latest with the supposed debate with Bay'at al-Ghadir? We've spoken about that very briefly at the beginning of this episode, so do review that, inshallah, when we're done, or now, whatever you feel like. All right, let's see. I guess that's it. Any comments, honey, on anything? Anything we you want to spend some more time on? Oh, okay. Here's another one. Why do they accept the Sunni sanad for the Quran?
You tell me, Farid, why they accept the Sunni sanad for the Quran?
Well, to be honest, it's because there wasn't much care for asanid al-Quran by Shias, to be honest, and that's why they have to rely on asanid Ahl Sunnah. Whether it may be Hamza's recitation, I'm assuming that's what it was in the beginning. I'm assuming that Shias mainly used the recitation of Hamza in the early centuries, because that was the common recitation in the Kufa. But now, of course, today, pretty much all Shias recite in the recitation of Hafs and Asim. But yeah, I mean, I honestly believe that this is done because they don't have asanid to the Quran. And I believe Abdul Halim al-Ghazi, Abdul Halim or is it Abdul Hamid, honey?
I think
it's Abdul Halim.
Abdul Halim, I think.
I think it's Abdul Halim al-Ghazi. He says something like this. He does admit that Shias use Sunni asanid for the Quran. It's just that there is no other choice. So, yeah.
I mean, they were ordered to recite it as we recite it.
Yes.
When they have in their books a hadith where one of the companions of the Imam tries to recite the Quran in the correct, supposedly, quote unquote, correct way that it's supposed to be recited. And the Imam is upset and he tells him, recite it only as Sunnis recite it, until the Qa'im rises. So the 12th Imam is the Qa'im.
John Wayne asks, I love the name, John Wayne, here with us, watching live. He asks, you were talking about Abu Layth. He claims there is no authentic hadith that disallowed music. Any comments? Briefly, if you don't mind, honey, my view is that there are authentic narrations that are clear, and there are authentic narrations that hint at music being haram. And here's one thing that I'd like to make clear. There is a difference of opinion on the subject, and I do believe that the stronger arguments fit in with it being haram. However, that's not my issue with Abu Layth. My issue with Abu Layth is what he was doing with mutawatir narrations, and how he uses his intellect to shrug off mutawatir narrations, and his intellect has no place for such a practice. I mean, we all have our own rationales, and we all look at deen differently, and we all understand the world differently. So if everyone wanted to subjectively reject narrations, then there would be no objective method of grading hadiths, and that was my issue with him. Um, I don't know if it's intentional, but what he was doing was extremely dangerous. Well, I mean, when I say intentional, I mean, um, well, I guess it was intentional, but I mean, yeah, Allah musta'an. I have a lot of issues with the guy, but his issue with music is not my main issue with him.
Yeah, as far as music is concerned, I'm doing a screen share. I don't know if you can see it. So here are two books that make the case for music being halal and their evidences. One is called أحكام الغناء والمعازف by this is by Salim bin Ali al-Thaqafi, who is أستاذ الفقه والفقه المقارن بجامعة القرى. And it's a nice book. And then there's this other one by Judea. I think it's called الموسيقى والغناء في ميزان الإسلام. I think it's by somebody called Judea. So these are just two books on the topic.
Judea has two books on the subject. One, I believe, is about being haram, and one is about being halal. And there are responses to Judea. I think one author has a book called Rad al-Qaradawi wal-Judea. I think his name is Muhammad Abdullah Musa, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I also would recommend Al-Albani's book on al-Ma'azif. It was also quite an enjoyable read. All right. Why? All right. Excuse me. Do the Shia dislike all the Sahaba except a few, or is it only the caliphs other than Ali?
So you want me to answer that as well?
Yeah, please go for it.
Okay. So the Shia, initially, the Imami Shia dislike the vast majority of the Sahaba, and this includes the Ansar and the Muhajiri, for the following reasons. Is that after the Prophet ﷺ passed away, according to their version of history, which is corroborated by nothing, after the Prophet ﷺ passed away, all of these Sahaba, pretty much, they went and gave bay'ah to Abu Bakr. You're talking about, I don't know, more than 100,000 Sahabis. They all pretty much submitted and gave bay'ah to Abu Bakr. And you have certain narrations in the books of the Shia where it says everybody apostated except 5 or 7, and that Ali bin Abi Talib told them, if you want to support me, come the next day with your heads shaved and ready for battle. Yet on the next day, nobody showed up. And I think it says in a narration, nobody showed up except a couple of individuals, which are the ones that they love the most, which is probably like Abu Dharr and Salman and stuff like that. So they have that. And then you have also in their books a hadith where Ali bin Abi Talib takes his wife Fatima alayhi salam, and she, I think, is riding a mule or a horse or something, and they are going to the houses of the Ansar, knocking on their doors, asking them who is going to help us, who is going to support us. And the Ansar were like, we're sorry, we gave bay'ah, we can't do anything at this point. So based on these stories that the ancient Shia were sharing, the Shia of today, they detest the majority of Sahaba in general. They love a few, they like a few of them, but not many. I mean, I think at most you would come up with like 10, 20, if we're going to count. Obviously, anybody who joined Ali in the wars of Jamal and Siffin, they like. But I don't think they even have a proper tahqiq of the mas'ala. I don't think they have a proper research. Because some of those people later went and gave bay'ah to Muawiyah. So
yeah, good point.
Like Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, right? So it's not so clear.
Okay. In Shia doctrine, do they believe that all of the family of the Prophet accepted the 12 Imams concept? The answer, do you want that one, Hani, or should I answer that one?
I think every question should be answered by both of us. not just one of us, because I'm sure you'll have something to add
All right. How
all the
about
time, and I'll have something to add to you, maybe sometimes.
all right? How about
Otherwise, it's going to be like just me talking. You're like a host, and that's not super cool because we're only just like two people here. Well, I didn't even understand the question. So
you're still on screen share mode, by the way.
yeah, I don't
Okay.
mind. It's just our website is on here.
All right.
So what was the question again? Even I didn't just get it exactly.
The question is, does all the family of the Prophet accept the 12 Imams concept?
Does the family of the Prophet accept the 12 Imams concept? Nobody from the family of the Prophet accepted the 12 Imams concept. Even the brothers and uncles and sons of the Imams never accepted the 12 Imams concept because they were arguing with them the whole time. They were fighting with them. They didn't believe in their infallibility. And authentic narrations, according to 12ers themselves, you'll have Zayd saying that he didn't know his father was an Imam, and he didn't know his brother was an Imam, and then he didn't know his nephew was the Imam, his nephew being Ja'far. You have Muhammad al-Hanafiya arguing, who is the son of Ali, arguing with Ali Zayn al-Abidin, that I deserve to be the head of Ahlul Bayt, not you, which means that he didn't believe that he was the Imam. You have the children of Ja'far al-Sadiq. A bunch of his children joined the Zaydi revolutions, and some of them claimed Imamah for themselves and this and that, and the Shia criticized them. Let me show you just a sample. I think we have a hadith here on the website. All right. I'm gonna do a little bit of a share screen just to show an example, and we're gonna later on we're gonna have a bigger article on this. I was working on a bigger article just showing the disaster, which is this belief that they have about the children of the Imams. So here we have what? We have Al-Mufid was one of the leaders of the Shia, Nu'man al-Mufid. And he says about Ja'far as-Sadiq's children. He says, Muhammad bin Ja'far, Muhammad the son of Ja'far. He says, he rebelled with the sword after his father and called to his own imamah. He called towards his own leadership. Meaning what? Meaning he didn't believe that the others were leader. And he also adopted the title of Commander of the Faithful, Amir al-Mu'mineen. He claimed that he himself was Amir al-Mu'mineen. Although none of those who rebelled from the descendants of Abu Talib accepted this title, which is not proven by them. He says, there is no difference from among the Imam Shia that whoever accepts such a title after Ali bin Abi Talib has committed a great sin. So how then can such a man be upon the sunnah of our messenger? So he insulted them. He's saying this guy, he called himself Amir al-Mu'mineen, he claimed imamah. How can he be upon the sunnah? This man's clearly a deviant. So the 12er Shia leader, Mufid, is insulting Muhammad, the son of Ja'far as-Sadiq. And how can Muhammad not know that his brother, Musa, is supposed to be the imam? Why would he claim that he's the imam? Again, you have another one here, Abdullah bin Ja'far. It says, the Imam Shia who believe in Musa's imamah have mass transmitted that Abdullah bin Ja'far had issues in his faith. This is because he used to adopt the madhab of the Murji'ah. And what they mean by Murji'ah is Ahlul Sunnah. They call Ahlul Sunnah Murji'ah. They don't believe, when they say Murji'ah, it's not how we as Sunnis use it today. Murji'ah is from Irja, which is kind of like pushing back. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fadi. Like delaying something or pushing it back. And this is a belief of some Muslims who make excuses for others, and they will make takfir. It's the opposite of takfiri, as far as I know. But for them, for the Shia, Murji'ah is people who delayed and pushed Ali back and prioritized Abu Bakr and Umar and placed them before Ali. So that's why they call Ahl Sunnah Murji'ah. So they were saying that Abdullah bin Ja'far had issues in his faith. This is a Mufid, I think, still talking here. And he viewed Ali and Uthman as equals. And he also claimed imamah after his father. So as you can see, it seems Ja'far al-Sadiq never brought up his children to believe in the concept of Shia imamah. Otherwise, why are all these children doing things that they're not supposed to do. And finally, we have a little bit of a quote here from Saduq, who says, he's talking about Ismail, the son of Ja'far Sadiq. So this is the third son here. And he says, how can a Sadiq declare Ismail's appointment of Imamah when he, alayhi salam, says about him, he, meaning Ismail, is a disobedient one. He doesn't resemble me, nor does he resemble any of my fathers. So again, why is this? Because Ismail never believed in Imamah. So any son of Ja'far Sadiq or any descendant of the Imams who doesn't believe in Imamah, or speaks against it, they will attack him. And this is why they attack a lot of the children of Al-Hasan, because the children of Al-Hasan bil Ali are, pretty much all of them, are either Sunni or Zaydi, meaning nobody believes in 12 divinely appointed infallible Imams. So they're either political Shia or they are Sunnis, just regular Sunnis. Again, if I am to quote Tustari, one of the 12 Shia scholars, in his book, he has a book called Tarikh al-Nabi wal-A'imma. He says that the vast majority of Hassanis were not Imami Shia. He says pretty much all the Hassanis were not Imami Shia. And he says a lot of the children of the Imams are also not Imami Shia. So what is he saying? So if all of the children of Al-Hasan are not Imami Shia, and a large amount of the children of the Hussainis are also not Imami Shia, and I can get you this exact quote later on, and this is a Shia, 12er Shia historian, that means that this concept was foreign to Ahl al-Bayt. It was a foreign concept by admittance of the 12er Shia historians themselves.
I'd just like to point out one more thing. Hani, most, if not all of the stuff that you're quoting is from Shia works. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so according to what Hani was quoting, this is evidence that according to Shia works, the family of the Prophet ﷺ did not accept the 12 Imams. We're not even talking about Sunni works yet. And that's a whole other story, in which even the 12 Imams themselves were rejecting that they are 12 Imams. Naturally. Okay, let's see. Carrying on. Allah barak feek, OSCC Da'wah. I appreciate all your work, and I still feel guilty, akhi. And that's another topic for another time. Why do Shias believe that the Prophet was hanging around with the worst individuals? Hani?
I'll let you. I talked a lot about that last one, so maybe this one you would like to.
Well, akhi, to be honest, I think that it's they need to make. They don't have a really good excuse for that one. Some of them say that they changed after his death. Some of them say that they were actually hypocrites, which doesn't really make sense. I mean, if they were hypocrites, then why would they do so much for Islam? So I guess the best excuse they can give is that they changed and they started to love dunya, and that's pretty much it. That's how they look at it. And the reason why they look at it that way, the main reason, is because Ali wasn't chosen as the first Khalifa. So rationally, the only reason they could come up with is the Sahaba changed their minds, and their hearts changed, and they apostated in some cases, or that's what they argue at least. Any additions to that, Hani?
I heard a nice excuse by some of their scholars. I don't know, it was Al-Amili, Murtada Al-Amili, or Ja'far, one of these types. He said that Abu Bakr and Umar, they heard stories from the Jews that there's gonna be a prophet, and he's gonna acquire a lot of wealth, and he's gonna become the master, and all of that. So they believed in these stories, and then they joined the Prophet because they were looking forward to acquiring a lot of wealth. So does that make sense to you? I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know anymore. Okay, so what's the response of the Shia regarding Hassan radiallahu anhu getting his income from Muawiyah, not only giving up his khilafah, but Muawiyah putting food on his table? If he was doing taqiyya, what's the point of the imamah? I guess a large portion of them would reject that. They would deny that in the first place. Their excuses, Hani, any excuses come to mind?
Wallahi, from what I know, yeah, it is a fact that Muawiyah used to give gifts to Al-Hassan wal-Hussein, and a whole bunch of Banu Umayyah, they used to give gifts to the descendants of Ali. And some of them even favored some of the descendants of Ali. But it was these were political gifts. Okay, believe it or not, these were political gifts. And from my reading of history, the Umayyads were doing this to be on the good sides of the Hashemites. And to honor, they did believe that the Hashemites should be honored, but they would never accept that a Hashemite should rebel against them. If a Hashemite rebelled against them, they would go all out and attacking this person and smearing him or punishing him and maybe even punishing the relatives sometimes. But it was political gifts. And Al-Hassan al-Hussein, obviously, they would accept, and that they would use the money, for the sake of Allah, they would use the money. As accepting gifts from other Muslims, what's the ruling on that, Farid?
That's just, it's not just the norm, but one is supposed to accept gifts.
Mm-hmm. So it's a sunnah.
All right, so here's one that says, okay, I guess I'm going to take this one. What's your take on Al-Albani on hadith? I've come across multiple references where he declares a narrator wadha' and grading others with the same narrator as sahih. Is he the norm nowadays? Now, I do not recall Al-Albani doing that. I mean, that's kind of extreme. If he did do that, then it's because he must have found an alternative chain for the same report that the wadha' narrates. Al-Albani's ijtihad did change with time, as everyone's ijtihad changes with time. I mean, me and Hani, we haven't done anywhere as much as what Al-Albani has for Islam, and probably never will. However, our ijtihadat have changed. Have your ijtihadat changed, Hani, in the past few years?
I mean, they're always changing, alhamdulillah. And if your opinions don't evolve and change, and we're still young people, God knows by the end of our lives, how much you gain wisdom, and the more you read, the more you absorb knowledge, the more your ideas will change about certain things. And that is the opposite of rigidity and staying in your place and just sticking to the same exact idea your entire life. I don't think that's something very praiseworthy. Allahu A'lam.
I agree. All right. When will there be a rebuttal to Bayt al-Ghadir on the recent video on Tawheed? Inshallah, soon. There's a video being made about that. It was supposed to be a short video, but I think it's going to be a bit longer, wallahu alam. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be a live discussion. It seems like it's just going to be a clip, a refutation in that sense. But it will be good. I mean, I am aware of the basic idea around it, and it will be enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
Are there any ahadith in Al-Kafi, Volume 1, that says that the Quran is corrupt? Hani?
And Al-Kafi, yeah, there's quite a few hadith that says the Quran is corrupt in Al-Kafi. I don't know if we can maybe do a share screen even at this point and show a few of them. Let's Let's try to do that. So we have an article on the website called Authentic Narrations Proving the Distortion of the Quran. And is it showing? Can you see it?
Yep.
Right. So this is an article, and in this one we don't have just narrations of tahrif. We selected a few authentic ones. And let's take one from Al-Kafi. Well, this one we discussed it last time, about the 17,000 verses. Let's see this other one. أبو علي الأشعري عن محمد بن عبد الجبار عن صفوان عن إسحاق بن عمار عن أبي بصير عن أبي جعفر عليه السلام قال نزل القرآن أربعة أرباع ربع فينا وربع في عدونا وربع أمثال وربع فرائض وأحكام. He's saying the Quran was revealed in 4 portions. A fourth was about us, a fourth about our enemies, a fourth are parables, and a fourth are laws. And clearly we don't see this fourth, which is talking about Ahl al-Bayt. So it's implying that it's been removed and it's been corrupted. Also, we have another one here, Ali bin Ibrahim from his father, from Ibn Abi Umayr, from Amr bin Udayna, from Burayd bin Muawiyah. He said, Abu Ja'far recited. This one I think we also covered it last time. This one, I don't want to cover it. Let's see if there's another one. This is a fun one. All right. So Muhammad bin Yahya and Ahmed Muhammad عن بفضل عن Rida. This is from Rida. They attribute it to Rida. About the verse, you know the verse where Abu Bakr and the Prophet ﷺ, they enter the cave and Allah sends down His tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
Abu Bakr was afraid and Allah sent down His tranquility. And obviously we have some of the scholars saying that He sent down His tranquility upon the Prophet, and some people say He sent down His tranquility upon Abu Bakr. The verse does not specify, but we conclude, we kind of assume it's about Abu Bakr because he's the one who required it. He was in a state of fear. He was afraid that the kuffar would harm the Prophet. So God sent down His tranquility. So here the verse is saying, according to Ar-Rida, فأنزل عليه سكينته على رسوله وأيده بجنود لم تروها قلت هكذا نقرأها وهكذا تنزيلها. So Ar-Rida says, Allah sent down His tranquility upon His messenger and supported him with soldiers you did not see. This is At-Tawbah, verse 175. He said, this is how we read it, this is how we recite it, and this is how it was revealed. And this is tahrif. Mm-hmm. Any comments on this one for you?
No, it's quite clear. Al-Kafi is a decent source for tahrif narrations. I guess it's one of the better sources, and طبعا a good place for tahrif narrations are the tafasir, the early tafasir, Tafsir al-Ayashi and Tafsir Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi, great sources for narrations of tahrif. Later on, the works were not as filled, especially tafsir works didn't have as many narrations of tahrif. This belief in tahrif started to disappear, especially after Saduq and Al-Mufid and the rest of them. Okay, it seems like we're getting some comments here about. I think I'm looking at some political comments and not questions. I just have to read this. Is just funny. Sometimes, the comments. I love the comment section. So one brother says, brothers and sisters never eat the food of the Rafida because they spit on Sunnis' foods, believing that they'll get rewarded. Okay, so I enjoyed the response, which is, have you conducted a scientific analysis that concludes that there is saliva found on the plates of Sunnis?
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I wouldn't accuse anybody of anything without evidence.
Yeah, I guess it's best not to. I'm someone who I'm someone who likes to have husn al-dhan for Shias, especially the lay people from Shia communities who have been brought into this, who've been brought up into this, and I mean it's just their community and their husn al-dhan for their shuyukh and for their parents and for their families and for the elders. So I have some empathy, really. And I have less empathy for the more learned ones. I have less and less empathy for, their ulama. So, yeah, I'm not someone who usually believes in such things.
I have something for you right here. This is the quote. I don't know if you can see it. This is a quote by Tustari that I was just talking about. Can you see it? Is it clear?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay. At-Tustari, he says, it appears from the narrations that the majority of the Musawi imams, the Musawi members of Ahlul Bayt, who are the Musawis? The Musawis are all the descendants of Musa al-Qadhi. He says the majority of Musawis, except the children of Ali al-Rida, كانوا قائلين بالوقف, used to adopt the view of wuquf, meaning they wouldn't say that the Imam after Musa al-Qadhi is Ali al-Rida. They were waqifa. So this is the majority of the children of Musa al-Qadhi, meaning them and their descendants. Why do they say that? He says خرج عنهم الأمر, because the fact that Ali al-Rida became the Imam, that means that the authority and honor went to Ali al-Rida and his children, and it was stripped away from Musa's children. So they're accusing them of rejecting the Imam of Ali al-Rida out of basically jealousy and ill will. So there you go. This is a 12-year Shia scholar accusing the majority of the children of Musa al-Qadhi and his descendants of pretty much being nawasib at this point. So you have the majority of Ahlul Bayt being nawasib, according to the Shia historian. And he says, كما أن أكثر بني الحسن, he says, moreover, the majority of the children of Al-Hasan, حيث خرج عنهم الأمر كانوا عامية أو زيدية. He says, because the authority went from Al-Hasan's children to Al-Husayn's children, as a reaction, the children of Al-Hasan became all Sunnis and Zaydis. So he pretty much accused also the majority of the children of Al-Hasan, if not all of them, of being nawasib, who reject the truth simply because they didn't get to be in power. And he concludes as وَكَذَلِكَ بَاقِي وَلَدُ الْمَعْصُومِينَ عَلَيْهِمْ السَّلَامُ مِنْ غَيْرِ الْمَعْصُومِ. He says this is the case for the majority of the children of the infallible imams who are not from the infallible themselves, meaning they're not infallible, but other descendants of infallible. Huh?
Which book is this from?
Let me get you. This is رسالة في تواريخ النبي والآل عليهم السلام by Sheikh Muhammad Taqi At-Tustari, and the chapter is called في من ورد فيه قطع من ولدهم عليهم السلام. Those of their children, peace be upon them, that were criticized. And he has a long list of them who were criticized, as you can see, a long list of the children of Ali and the Imams that were criticized simply because they didn't believe in Imamah. So they accused them in their religion. As you can see here, he accused all of them of being basically jealous. And you'll find narrations like this in the books of the 12ers, that the children of Al-Hasan were jealous, that the family of Ali al-Rida was jealous of him, that's why they wanted to get rid of him. And the same thing, you'll find Al-Baqir disputing with his uncles or Al-Qadim. They just portray Ahlul Bayt as being completely at odds with each other for the most part, and fighting with each other regarding inheritance, regarding imamah, who gets to be the head of the household, all of that stuff, which shows for us, historically speaking, that if they believed that there and 12 imams that were infallible and their obedience is obligatory, they wouldn't oppose them. They would not oppose them.
All right, carrying on. Okay, so this is a quick one. What are the best books on critical analysis of Shia beliefs? Brother Abdul Halim, do you mean in Arabic or in English? And as you respond to that, here's another question regarding Fatima being upset with Umar. Is this true? I don't recall anything authentic on that, honey. Anything?
About Fatima being upset with Umar?
Yes, with Umar, not Abu Bakr.
Specifically Umar?
Yep.
No, this is the fabricated ahadith about the broken rib story. And this story is completely unacceptable. It's not in the proper books. It's just a bunch of rumors by some people in Iraq. That's all it is.
All right, so basically nothing on Umar. Abu Bakr, yes, but that's a lengthy topic for another time, I guess. Okay, so Abdul Halim says yes, works that have been translated into English. Anything, honey? In English?
About Shia?
I guess it's stuff by you, stuff that you've translated. So what do you recommend from the stuff that you've translated that can be found on the site? Also, Mahajjah.com, mashallah.
Yeah.
mahajjah.com. I think it's .com, not .net. Wallahu alam. A great site, mashallah, run by brothers from South Africa, and they've done a great job translating some important works, including Nasr al-Qafari's Usul Madhab al-Shi'i, Usul Madhab al-Shi'i, I believe. That's the proper name. The first 2 volumes, I believe, are translated into English, and they've done quite a good job translating important works. And do share your thoughts, Hani, on some important works.
I mean, there are these other websites. I think there was Gift to Shia, there was Mahajjah, as you said.
If we're going to stick with books.
Books, we did kind of like summarized translations of certain books. There's one that's on our website that says the Imama of the Shia is a continuation of prophethood. That is very important. It shows that Imama is nothing more than just prophethood, and therefore they don't believe in the seal of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They kept it going with their 12 Imams for intellectual reasons and rationalistic reasons. They kept it going. Purely philosophical reasons to do with God's justice. So
I enjoyed the fractious schizophrenia. I think that's what he translated it as.
Yeah, al-Fisam al-Nakid.
All right, so the fractious schizophrenia, you'll find that on TotalRashia.net, translated by Hani, written by Abdul Malik Shafi. Wonderful book. It was what's his name? Subhani, Ayatollah Subhani tried to refute it and did terribly. And then Abdul Malik Shafi wrote a little, response to his refutation, pointing out that Subhani didn't respond to any of his main points. It was quite interesting.
Yeah, there's also the one on Taqiyya, which is by Faisal Noor. Also, it's on our website. I think it says Taqiyya, the double-faced religion, something like that.
Yeah.
This is on our website.
The fractious schizophrenia is about the belief in the distortion of the Quran. It's quite an enjoyable read. Okay, Abdul Halim is asking about Al-Tuhfa Al-Ashariya. Maybe the Mahajjah guys are working on that. I don't know. Wallahu a'lam. Why did the Prophet tell his wife to stay when she asked if she could enter Al-Kisa? Very, honey, you want to answer that, or should I? Very briefly.
I mean, Hadith al-Kisa is a shaky narration. It's muttarab. We accept it as authentic, but it is shaky in the sense that there's so many versions of it that it's just, it's funny. That in some version, he does allow her to go in. In some versions, he tells her, stay as you are upon goodness. You know, and in some versions, so you have a whole bunch of versions, I guess, of it. What would you say about that, Farid?
Well, يعني, to be honest, the way I look at it is, let's assume that, okay, here's the thing. What came first, the verse or, the narration? Apparently, well, technically, it's the same time, right? It is sabab al-nuzul. However, if the narration didn't exist, well, actually, yes, the verse did come before the narration.
It's not sabab al-nuzul. It's not. The verse descended.
Yes. Excuse me, I was slightly confused. Thanks.
Yeah. The verse descended.
The verse descended,
and then
Rasulullah
he
was in the house of Salama. Okay, and when that happened, if we look at the verse in itself, the verse is clearly about the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. If the hadith didn't exist, if hadith al-Kisa did not exist, anyone who read the verse, and even if you're not aware with the narration, if you just read the verse, you're like, oh, okay, this must be about the wives. You wouldn't think it's about, Ali and Fatima and Hassan and Hussein. So that basically is why Rasulullah told Salama that she doesn't need to come into the Kisa, because the dua is already, already engulfs or already includes Salama. And Rasulullah made the dua to include Fatima, Ali, and Hassan and Hussein within the dua found in 33 of Surah Al-Ahzab, which is also known as Ayat al-Tathir. Please do comment on it.
Yeah, I mean, what I understand from the narrations, because I checked out the narrations a long time ago. The Prophet was in the house of Aisha, and then he went out and he put like a cloak around him. Maybe it was cold. He put a cloak around him and he left to the house of Salama. Salama says that the verse was revealed in her house. Okay, and the verse is clear in the Quran about the wives of the Prophet. And Ibn Abbas in the authentic narration also says that the verse about the wives of the Prophet. So Ibn Abbas is saying this, and about Ibn Abbas, he knows. He is from Ahlul Bayt after all. And then after this happened, Fatima, I think she sent her father, maybe she came to the house, or she sent to her father a plate of food. She had made some food. And I guess he was hungry at the time, so she brought him some sweets or some food. And he was so happy. He told her, call your husband and your 2 sons. She called them. They went inside. The Prophet told them, hey, come under this cloak. And he made dua for them. He said, oh God, these are members of my household. Oh God, please purify them. Which is not the verse, by the way. He's making dua here. This is not the verse. Okay, so he made a dua. He supplicated God to purify them. Obviously, if the verse was revealed in already purifying them, he would make this dua again, because that would be repeating something unnecessarily that had just been revealed in the Quran. If God had said that he was going to purify them, then the Prophet wouldn't make a dua asking God to purify them. So the Prophet was trying to include them. This is what Ahlul Sunnah say. The Prophet was trying to include these extra members of Ahlul Bayt, so that God will also purify them as well. He's showing his love for them. So Salama here, she said, "O Prophet of Allah, would you not let me under this cloak as well? Am I not a member of your household? Am I not from your Ahlul Bayt?" And obviously Salama knows whether she's a member of Ahlul Bayt or not. It's socially known whether you know if you are a member of somebody's household or not. It's common Arabic language. Of course she's a member from his Ahlul Bayt. But here she was probably asking humorously. And the Prophet knew this. So he told her, you are upon goodness, stay as you are. And at that point, when this happened, it was Amr bin Watila.
Yeah, wait, لا, it's not Amr bin Wathila, it's Wathila bin Asqa, I think.
Wadil ibn al-Asqa. Wadil ibn al-Asqa had heard the Prophet made the dua, and he told him, "Oh Prophet, how about me? Am I not also a member of your household?" And the Prophet says, "You are one of us, Ahlul Bayt. You're also a member of our household." So no, Wadil ibn al-Asqa did not become infallible based on this hadith. And this is the whole story. Now, the Shia, being extremists, they took this and they said, "Oh, that means that nobody else is the household of the Prophet except these 4 or 5 people." And this is a really silly argument. This is like saying, like, if I come to you and I have 2 or 3 of my friends with me, and I come to you and I'm like, "Hey, Abdullah, I want to introduce you. These are my friends." And I point to them. I'm like, "These are my friends." Does that mean that I have no other friends? It doesn't mean that. This is simple logic here. So the Shia, again, being extremists as they are, they went and they took it. They gave it the most illogical explanation. They said, no, that means that they are only the members of the household. And they went and they bashed it against the Quran, because the Quran is clearly saying that this verse is talking about the wives of the Prophet. Ibn Abbas in the authentic narration clearly says it's about the wives of the Prophet. And so they went and they clashed between the verse and the hadith, clearly the Dhahir of the Quran. And they clashed also against the Arabic language, because according to the language of the Arabs, everybody knows that the wife is from the Ahl. She's a member of your household. She's a member of your Ahl Bayt. And that's why you have some of their scholars, like Al-Majlisi and others, that say that the Sahaba took the verse of purification from some other location and inserted it. They inserted this portion into the verse talking about the wife so that they can confuse people and misguide people. That means that the Quran is a book of misguidance, according to them. Yep.
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't think that's the mainstream view, but I've heard some scholars, some Shia scholars argue that. Okay, so this one is, why do Shias throw Sunnis under the bus when asked about radical Islam? I saw a guy interview a Shi'i and was asked about the violent verses in the Quran. All he said was, that's a Salafi interpretation. Well, I guess it's natural in a sense. You know, if you're part of a large group, and it's not fair, but it is natural for them to want to, come out as different and clean when Muslims all around the world are being accused of terrorism and whatnot. It's an easy way out to say, well, that's not us. It's the Wahhabis. It's the big bad Wahhabis, and or accusing everyone else of being. But I guess they don't do that. They don't necessarily accuse everyone else of being Wahhabi. Just people they don't really like. Or they refer to them as Nasabis. Honey?
Yeah, they do that all the time because they're trying to promote and market their beliefs. They're trying to spread their power and influence. So they will, like if some Islamophobes are accusing all Muslims, and as we all know, like about 88% of Muslims, if not 90%, are Sunni. And so if some Islamophobes are accusing all Muslims of let's say, terrorism, the Shia will jump on that same bandwagon and say, yes, it is Sunni Islam that is spreading terrorism and blah, 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 and all of that. And what they're essentially trying to say, and they try to aim this to the West, they try to address the Western powers with this. What are they trying to say? They're trying to say, look, your best interest lies with us. Forget about these Sunnis, just, overthrow them, attack them, destroy them, kill them, get rid of them. These guys are going to screw everything up. Your best interest is with us. You should be friends with us. We are the peaceful ones. They're talking to the Western powers, the imperialist powers, even Zionism. If you look at the Syrian media, which is mainly Shi'i media at this point, they're telling Israel, look, if Bashar al-Assad falls, Syria is going to fall in the hands of the terrorists and this and that. And therefore, Israel's best interest is with us, the Shia, because we're not going to attack. As is clearly visible, they're not attacking. In fact, they're getting attacked. Every couple of days, we hear that they got bombed by Israel, they got bombed by Israel, they got bombed by Israel again, and they don't do anything about it. Only recently they shot like one aircraft, and this is for other political reasons. It was the Russians who shot it to get back at Americans for a Sukhoi airplane that was shot previously. So that's their double standard there.
Here's one that was related to a previous question or a previous answer that you've provided, Hani. Imam Muhammad bin Hanafiya, Imam Zayd bin al-Abidin, okay, Imam Muhammad bin Abdullah Nafs Zakiyya, all three declared their own imamat. Does this not mean the concept of 12 imams didn't exist then? Yes, and if you refer to the earlier parts of the video, Hani does provide references for that and provide some enjoyable quotes. We agree. Here's one: how to respond to Shia on their interpretation of the word awla used in Hadith al-Ghadir. They state the word mawla is maf'ul of ism awla. Awla in Quran al-Kareem means nearer and control / tasarruf.
Oh, well, I think this is a good chance to let people know about ghadirkhum.com. Maybe you can give them the exact, you can do a share screen, maybe, Farid, and show them that website, which mainly deals with the Ghadir Khum and all of its issues. I think that website was not promoted sufficiently, so we'll try to find it and share it.
Should I put the link in the description?
Yeah, please do share the link for that. Awla, obviously in the language of the Arabs, awla is nearer to. Anything to do with wilaya and walaya and wali. The meaning of the word wali in Arabic is usually associated with closeness. Whether it's between, a master of a slave and his slave, or between a patron and client, or between, someone who is beloved friend to you. It's always meanings of closeness. So am I not more awla to you than your own selves? Meaning, do I not have greater claim to you than yourselves? Okay, so you should listen to me. My opinion, you place it before your opinions. My well-being, you place it before your well-being. This is what awla means. And then the people said yes. They accept, yes, we definitely do believe that you are, that your obedience is obligatory, and we place you before we place ourselves. And then he told them, Man kuntu mawla al-yawm mawla. And this we gave a different, we had an in-depth study of the meaning of Man kuntu mawla. Actually, there's a video on our channel called Man kuntu mawla. If you look at the other videos, we have a video about 40 minutes just talking about this one hadith. So we can share a link to the video, and we can share a link to the website.
All right, I'll do that then, inshallah. I just posted a link to the website. On the website, ghadirkhum.com, you will find 3 sections: one that refutes the common arguments surrounding Ghadir Khum, one that's really useful for understanding Ghadir Khum, and one that's complete hadith criticism of all narrations of Ghadir Khum. There's quite a lot of narrations about Ghadir Khum. Most of them are weak. There is a decent amount of authentic ones. I think through 5 or 6 companions, authentic chains for it. Why do Shias hate Umar? Is this Umar or is it Uthman? Okay, I think it's. Okay. Why do Shias hate Uthman? Radhiallahu anhu? I can't recall any disputes he had with Ali. Radhiallahu anhu. Being Khalifa is enough. Being Khalifa before Ali is enough reason for them to hate Uthman. Honey?
Yeah, I mean, there are reasons. It's not like there was no disputes. They accuse him of, certain things. For example, combining prayers and travel, something like that. They accuse him of that. Or maybe it was a Mut'at al-Hajj, possibly they accuse.
I don't know if it was Ali, though.
It was Ali.
Oh yeah.
It was Ali and Uthman.
Okay.
And Ali went and did, and I think Uthman told Ali that, you know that I'm, that I've prohibited people from this. And Ali told him, I would not leave the saying of the Prophet for anybody else. And so this is a dispute, that happened between them. Ali and Uthman, you have to understand something. Ali and Umar, historically speaking, this is just based on reading of history. Ali and Umar were extremely close friends, and they would agree on pretty much everything the whole time. They had like chemistry, we can say. They worked really, really well together. And you'll find a lot of this in the books of history. Because they're both similar in character. They're both strict. They're both, strong in terms of religion. Uthman was more of the lenient type. Uthman had some opinions that Ali did not agree with, some of the way he governed over certain things. But also, when it came down to it, Ali defended Uthman the most. When the people came to Uthman to attack him, Uthman would actually rely on Ali. He would have Ali be like kind of like an emissary or an ambassador between him and the people. He would represent Uthman. He would negotiate with those rebels and in the name of Uthman. He would represent him. He offered to help him. Uthman rejected, and by help here we mean physical battle. That Ali would grab some fighters and head to Uthman's door and defend him. Ali obeyed Uthman, and he sent his children instead. He sent Hassan and Hussein to defend them. And this is all authentic. So the difference between them, differences of opinion on some fiqh matters, did not, cause them to make takfir of each other or revile each other, or stab each other in the back. There is none of that.
Hani, have you heard of Dhul Fiqar al-Maghribi?
No idea.
Okay, someone apparently is making refutations against Sunnis. I haven't heard of him either. We'll look him up, inshallah.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah. Why do Shias come up with the excuse as how do Shias come up with the excuse as to why Ali gave bay'ah to Abu Bakr? And how does the average layman refute their response? Well, what they do is they say that Ali wanted to defend, Ali did not want bloodshed. And the way that a Sunni would refute that is by saying, then why did Ali fight, Muawiyah? And why did Ali get into battle with, the people of Al-Jamal? And why did Al-Hussein, fight with Yazid? And according to, the Shi'i narrative, we have the Imams going back and forth, being peaceful, being, aggressive, being peaceful, being aggressive. And, the Shias would say that it depends on the situation. But it really doesn't really seem like the situation changed much, to be honest. But I think it's something that they're brought up with, Hani. I think it's hard for us to get that idea across.
Yeah, they all tell you he's trying to protect Islam. However, how is he protecting Islam? By allowing the tyrants to rule and, abolish. That's like saying that the Prophet ﷺ would protect Islam by, allowing Abu Lahab or or Abu Jahl of taking over and like sitting at home and doing absolutely nothing and not propagating the truth and not fighting against them. And that's not protecting Islam. That's basically killing Islam. And the reason why 90% of the Muslims are Sunni is because of this. So he technically destroyed Islam. Nobody's ever heard of the Shia, obviously. If you go to most Sunni countries, most Islamic countries, nobody's heard of the Shia. Nobody knows what they believe. Nobody knows anything about them. So how is that exactly saving Islam? If the true Islam is hidden, nobody's heard of it, it's buried, their books are gone, their imams are killed, that's not saving Islam. That's destroying it.
Okay, so who do Shias hate more, Abu Bakr or Umar? I think it would be Umar. Hassan said that. I think Hassan said this. He said that in Iran, some people use Umar as a as a bad word, as a curse word.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So I guess it would be Umar. Wallahu alam.
He's a very popular character, Omar. I
Yeah.
would say Sunnis in general have a lot of love for Omar more than anybody else, I feel. Even though we do say, oh, Abu Bakr is superior, which he clearly is from the text, superior, even historically speaking, from his actions, he's superior. And the Prophet obviously favored Abu Bakr. Yet, you'll still find Sunnis just having a lot more love for Umar than anybody else. And that's probably why they hate him more than anybody else. Anybody you love, Habibi, they will hate him. The more you love a person, they will hate him the most.
All right. Here's a strange one. My sheikh said Abu Jahl is part of Ahl al-Bayt because he's part of the Prophet's family. Is that true? Well, I hope your sheikh meant Abu Lahab and not Abu Jahl. That's the first thing. But I mean, that is a strange question. Linguistically, Abu Lahab would be Ahl al-Bayt. However, Ahl al-Bayt, generally refers to Muslims from the Prophet's family, generally speaking. Hani, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, when we say, oh, God, may God be pleased with Ahlul Bayt, or when we send our peace and blessings upon Ahlul Bayt, we don't mean those who are kuffar. Like, we don't mean like Talib, the son of Abu Talib, right? I think, wasn't he a disbeliever, this guy, or am I confusing him with
Uh,
someone else?
I don't know.
So I think it's Ali's older brother. And he just disappeared into the deserts. And then, yes, you have the Prophet's uncle that was a disbeliever. You have not everybody was a believer. So when we send peace upon Ahlul Bayt, we mean the Ahlul Bayt who were believers. Same way, when we send peace upon the companions, we don't mean that any person who accompanied the Prophet. It could be maybe like there's a hypocrite accompanying the Prophet. This guy is not encompassed, and he's not included when we send peace. And therefore, similarly, the Prophet's uncle, who was a disbeliever, is also not encompassed when we send peace upon Ahlul Bayt.
All right. Why do Shias call upon other than Allah? And how can we give da'wah to Shias that do this? Well, first of all, I guess the most important thing is they have this common um, analogy they give. They say if you're going to go to um, if you're going to go to a boss, you'd first go to the boss's secretary and you'd ask the secretary to give you permission to go meet the boss. Now, that's what they usually say. And this is very problematic because, it's a very different case. It's a very different scenario. Now, imagine that boss, was in good terms with you, or that boss told you, don't go to my secretary, don't ask anyone, come to me directly. And instead, you'd ignore the boss and you'd go to the secretary, and the boss would feel upset. The boss would be offended. Why don't you come to me directly? That's maybe an analogy we could toss back. But yeah, I mean, the issue with intercession is the main issue, I guess, is when you believe that the imams have powers that they never had, while they were alive. When they were alive, I don't think anyone, I don't think someone in Mecca would raise his hands towards the sky while Ali was in Kufa, and he would say, Ya Ali, help me with this or that, or Ya Ali, ask Allah to give me this or that, because Ali couldn't hear you when he's in Kufa, obviously. Now, Ali passes away. All of a sudden, he has, not only does he have the ability to hear you, but he has the ability to hear everyone shouting his name or crying, for his help or for him to intercede at the same time. Now, if Ali has that ability to hear everyone at the same time, wouldn't that make him, a Sami'? Isn't that an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Isn't that attribute specifically and exclusively to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And that's one of the main problems with this intersection thing. Even if the Shia doesn't believe that Ali can do these things independently, he's still giving Ali this power that is exclusive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the issue. That's the main issue with this. Hani?
Yeah, argument against intercession, against tawassul or istighatha is very, very simple. I would say, first of all, there's two forms of it that we know. Okay, there's a form of it which is purely shirk, which is asking, going to, for example, the grave of Ali and saying, Ali, grant me a child. I'm not able to have children. Ali, please grant me a child. Or, Hussein, let me score well on my test. Going to Hussein's grave. And these are things you ask from Allah. So this is pretty much shirk right there. And then there's the type of tawassul, which is, saying, oh Allah, by my love for the Prophet, please grant me this and that. And this is the acceptable one. And this is the one which is popular a lot among Sufis as well. But still, it's the problem with it is that this is not what Islam taught. So it's still a bit of an innovation even there. Because when you look at the Quran as a book, the Quran has a lot of ad'iyah. It has a lot of supplications and du'as in it. Every single dua in the Quran, it either starts with Allahumma or Rabbana or Rabbi or this. Every dua in the Quran starts with "Oh God" or "Oh my Lord." Not once does it start with "Oh Hussein" or "Oh Muhammad" or "Oh Ibrahim." Every dua that people make in the Quran is monotheistic purely and is direct. It's directly attributed to Allah. There's nobody intermediary in the middle. So this is for every dua. So this is what the Quran is teaching. At the same time, you look at the Sunnah, and the Prophet taught us a lot of dua. Also, Ahlul Bayt, they taught a lot of supplications. If you go to Al-Kafi, was it volume 2? I don't remember. But there's a lot of supplications. There's like a ton of ahadith about supplications that the Prophet taught us. Like, when you are sick, say this. When you are poor, say this. When you are afraid, say this. So all of them are monotheistic. All of them start with "Oh Allah" or "Oh my Lord." And this is mutawatir ma'nawiyan and mutawatir through all of these texts. It's mass transmitted. This is what Islam taught. It did not teach anything else. Now, if someone's going to come out of nowhere and like quote a hadith, let's say someone brings a hadith, like a single hadith, they quote a hadith, even if it's sahih, even if the chain is authentic, this should be rejected as shad. This is anomalous. This is not acceptable. This is an odd hadith. Why? Because it conflicts with all of the ad'iyah in the Quran, and it conflicts with all of the ad'iyah in the Sunnah. It's not possible that you leave everything that the Prophet taught you, hundreds and hundreds of ad'iyah. In the books of the Sunnah and the books of the Shia, you leave all of those hundreds, and you go take this one odd narration simply because you want to follow your desires and you want to follow. I'm saying authentic or not.
We're talking hypothetically, of course. I'm pretty sure
hypothetically,
authentic like that.
Yeah. Assuming. I'm going all the way. I'm saying even if there's one authentic one, it's not an excuse, and it would be very odd of you. It would be very unacademic, unscholarly, unscientific to take that one singular form of dua, which is foreign and odd, and prefer it and utilize it and propagate it instead of the ad'iyah that were mass transmitted, all of which are monotheistic. This, I believe, is the best, is one of the better responses to this shubha.
Yeah, this is an interesting comment on the whole analogy of the boss and the secretary, which is, isn't that because the boss isn't all seeing, all hearing? You wouldn't go through the secretary if the boss was right next to you, and Allah is closer to us than our jugular vein. Can you comment, please? Yeah, I agree. I agree. There's some questions on Umar being married to Kulthum and Uthman being married to both daughters of Rasulullah ﷺ. Is it established in their books? I think there's ikhtilaf among them in regards to these issues.
It's popular though. It is established, I think, in their books. Historically speaking, in their books, it does say that yes, Umar married Kulthum, and then Ali. But in their books, like they'll fabricate narrations to make excuses for it. So either they'll say it was a jinn shaped in the form of Kulthum, or they will say that it was that Umar threatened to cut off Ali's hand. So Ali gave him his daughter Kulthum so that he wouldn't have his hand cut off as a form of taqiyya. Okay, or they will say that Ali awarded the matter to Al-Abbas. He put him in charge of this, and Al-Abbas gave Kulthum to Umar in marriage, and then Ali was like, "Oh, what you do, uncle? What you do?" You know, and that's some of their excuses. But all in all, what is it saying? It's saying that Umar did in fact marry her, and this is what is authentic. And obviously Umar married her because, and the books of Ahl Sunnah is quite clear, because he loved Ahlul Bayt, and he wanted to have more ties with Ahlul Bayt. That's why Umar married her, and he treated her well, and all of that. And in fact, we have narrations from her. And she had a son called Zayd bin Umar. So the son Zayd bin Umar was from his wife Kulthum. So his grandfathers were both Ali, and his father was Umar. As for the two daughters of the Prophet, I think this is also established in their books that Uthman married both daughters of the Prophet, but they'll probably make some excuses for it. Lately, they've been saying that they're not his real daughters, you know, which conflicts with Quran. It conflicts with I think because Quran says وَبَنَاتِكَ, and it conflicts with some of their own narrations.
It refers to the daughters of the Prophet in the plural tense.
Yeah, the verse says, the verse says, "O Prophet, tell your women and tell your daughters and the women of the believers," and this and that. So this is clearly the Quranic text saying he has daughters. It's not like stepdaughters. And let's say we want to accept that stupid argument that says that they're not his real daughters. He's just in charge of them. He's just their guardian, their stepfather. Still, you would marry a pious Muslim woman to a munafiq that you hated, to a person that you detested. You would give him two of the women of the believers that you're in charge of. Obviously, in either case, it doesn't serve their purpose.
This one's for you. I have no idea about this one. I have seen hadith about Dajjal arriving from Isfahan with 70,000 Jews. Also, as per Shia hadith, their mythical hidden imam speaks Hebrew and will establish the law of David. Explain.
And nothing to explain. It's just that what you read is what it is. Isn't that the hadith that you're quoting? This is, yeah, they do have stuff in their books that about their version of the Mahdi, doing this or that. We have an article on our website, which is, I think it's on the main banner of the website. It says Mahdi between fact and fiction. And in this article, I summarize the belief of Ahl Sunnah, not of the Shia. The Shia, if you want to gather all the hadith that they have about the Mahdi, there's a ton of them, most of which are fabricated. In fact, all of which are fabricated, I would say. But they have a lot, and I've not I don't think anybody did a research where they go through all of the hadith of the Mahdi found in the books of the Shia. I think you're trying to create a link between them and Judaism, right? To show that the Mahdi is, as the Shia believe in him, is going to be like a Jewish figure or an Israeli figure. I don't know anything about that.
This one's related. Is the mythical hidden imam of 12ers actually the Dajjal?
I mean, it's very possible that when Dajjal comes, these guys will believe in him, assuming these guys still exist at the time, assuming there's 12ers at the time, because that school is not doing too well. I'm telling you that. The only reason they're kind of alive at this point is because Iran is funding them. Take out Iran as a government, which is backing this belief, the whole thing crumbles. You'll probably get this idea as a majority again, or some other group, or they will just splinter off into some other groups. Similarly, Abadi are kind of doing okay because Oman is backing as a government. And this is how these sects work, because they're all political. These are all political groups hidden in the cloth of sects.
If Ghadir was the announcement of Ali's leadership, then why didn't Ali remind the people about Ghadir when 3 others were made Khalifas? Yep, we that's what we usually say. Why do the Shias believe Fatima was the only real daughter of the Prophet and that the other daughters were not true daughters but adopted? Because it's a merit for Uthman. I guess that's it, right, honey?
Yeah, I think that's enough for today, inshallah.
All right, let me see if there's anything here that... Well, there's some that I feel like, inshallah, we should leave for next time. Yeah. All right. Any last words, Akhi?
No. I don't have any last words.
All right. Allah barak feekum. Folks, if you enjoyed this, please share and subscribe, or share and subscribe to other stuff. Share and subscribe. Share Abu Ammar's video about his conversion story. That's one that a lot of you have enjoyed. And yeah, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.